Is there anyone else out there that when they're in the middle of a big sewing project, all they can think about are all the other things that they want to make? Just me? Hello, welcome to Show and Tell Meg. I'm Megan and I like to make things. Given that it's a new season, I always have things running around in my head that I know that I could use and I wish that I had. So I thought that I would share my plans of what I would like to make in a perfect world this summer. All right, so we'll just dive right into my stacks here. I have several stacks of fabric that you can't even see and several patterns that are shown, but I have some that I'm just going to pop up. So first of all, I had an absolute hole in my wardrobe of fun quilting cotton dresses, which I love. I love the ModCloth style dresses is what I will always think of them as. And yeah, a lot of mine don't fit anymore. They just don't feel like me. And there's a couple particular fabrics in my stash that I keep thinking about. And I know I would really like to make into something. So I think that this summer is going to be the time that I do it. So first and foremost is this fabric that I have had for years. I actually should look it up. It says Graphic by Latifa Safir Studios, and it is Power Lines. And it's on this nice, almost navy, not quite navy blue background. And I remember they only had 3 yards, I think, of this. And so I just grabbed the 3, but I knew that I could make a dress out of it. This is, I know it has this number on it, but this is Simplicity 1419. I tweaked this pattern years ago, got it to fit me. I have had to do a few changes here and there, but it's a very basic silhouette. It's just a darted bodice and it has a pleated skirt with pockets. And so I'm able to zhuzh it as I go. I have done this in a few different ways and it just works really well for quilting cottons. So this will be the pattern and I just can't get this one out of my mind. I keep thinking about how much I would like to have it. And the only thing I can't decide is I've altered this to have just a scoop neck bodice. I can't decide if I want to do that, if I want to do like a boat neck or something. But the thing that I do know is I also love this like acid green bias tape. I used this on a different dress that I made, which I'll put a picture up of. It's called my Take a Seat dress. And it has kind of similar colors, like blue, gray kind of color. And this green just really pops against it. So I want to use this as the inside facings. Like most other people aren't going to see it, but I like this. And I know that I have zippers that would pop like this as well, because I like to do a lapped zipper and have it be a fun color. So this one's definitely getting made. And then while I'm in my stash and I'm thinking about Simplicity 1419, I also have this, which I bought this from Craftsy, if that gives you any idea of how long ago that was, back when Craftsy used to sell supplies at a deep discount. And this is a Michael Miller, what's it called? It is called Seedling by Thomas Paul for Michael Miller. And this one doesn't have the date on there, but this one is equally as old as that other. But I just love these like partridge looking birds and the color. It's gray, pink, rust, and mustard color. And I really kind of want to make the same dress. So I don't know if I will make 2 back to back. I'm dealing with that right now and it kind of makes me bored. But I would love to have a dress made out of this. I can see it in my head. So this will be soon. Maybe this summer. We'll see. Another fabric that when I was rifling through my stash, I landed on. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. I really want a shirt out of this. Is this awesome squid print, or is he an octopus? Actually, he has 7 legs. But this is by Emily W. Martin for Birch Fabrics. It's from the Saltwater collection. This is a premium organic cotton. And I just think it'd be so fun. I originally bought this for a sailor top, which now has a different name. It's by Fancy Tiger Crafts, and I did it on Creative Bug. They have a whole video on how to make it, which it goes together really nicely. And I mean, this would still be nice for that, but I don't tend to wear that style of shirt as much anymore. So I actually pulled 2 basic t-shirt kind of patterns. I've made this before. I made a yellow eyelet version of the center shirt here, and it's just a super basic, woven tee. Works really well. So there's that thought. Or there's this one. So the first one was New Look 6483. This one is 6104. And I got these both at the thrift store. But I think this would be really cute too. Maybe the one in the illustration with the ruffle. I mean, ruffles with octopi. Sounds good to me. And if I have something in my stash, or if I can find something like maybe a ruffle in this kind of color would be cool. I don't know. But I don't know. I think it'd just be a really fun summer top. I'm kind of sized out of most of my really fun print things that I've made over the years. And so I'm excited to get something else. As you can see, I need some fun prints in my life again. Another project that I have had on my list to do for like 6 or 8 months is I have these merino wool jerseys that I bought on Etsy. I only have 1 yard because if you know, this stuff is expensive. And I always hear people talk, like I'm a knitter, I use wool all the time, but I don't tend to use wool thinking it's going to keep me cool. Even though that is a property of wool, like if you are hot, it's supposed to help you dissipate your heat. And the, yarn is much thicker, so it's harder to dissipate your heat. But this jersey is very thin. And so I've always wanted to try out just making a basic t-shirt. So I pulled out my Renfrew pattern. I've actually kind of spliced the deer and doe plantain and the Renfrew, like the neckline of this with the body of the plantain. And I don't have any of those. I think I have one that still fits me. So I kind of have that in mind, but just a basic t-shirt so that I can try these out in the crazy blazing heat of Florida summer and see if it actually keeps me comfortable. Because if it does, then that opens up like a whole new world of things, because merino clothing is so expensive. And so this would be one of those rare opportunities when you like to wear natural fibers that it would be much cheaper to make it. I think these were like $18 a yard. So if you look up merino jersey shirts, they're like bare minimum of $50. So if I could be making them myself, that's a pretty good savings. So that's something I really want to find out. So stay tuned if you want to learn how that works out, because I will be making a video. I'll make a shirt or two and see how they fare in the heat. I also really love this hydrangea print that I picked up in, I think, January. And I want to make a gable top out of this. It's been a while. I mean, I have a lot of gable tops, but I love them. They fit me well and they look really nice in a print. So I think this would make a very nice gable top. I was also in Target recently and they had this really pretty embroidered eyelet white skirt. And I contemplated getting it, honestly, but it was $25 and it had a paper bag waist that was elasticated. I just don't like the bulk. I never tuck my shirts in, so I don't like the bulk of a paper bag waist, nor do I like things to be elastic the whole way around. So I talked myself out of getting it, but I have quite a few eyelet fabrics, honestly. This was just the first one that I landed on that I did recently. It's a very basic. I mean, everybody's seen this. I probably even sell it at Walmart. But I have a nice sized chunk of this. I also have several others. And so now that's kind of on my mind of making a white eyelet skirt of some kind. So we're going to see if I make that happen. Then we have this lovely fabric. I usually don't buy fabrics in a fabric store anymore because I have so much fabric. But I saw this one and it's so pretty and it was very inexpensive. So I got this at Hobby Lobby, and this is a rayon linen because there's more rayon than there is linen. And it has just the nicest drape. I mean, I'm a big fan of linen rayon anyway, but linen rayon is going to be a little thicker and heftier. This has a little more of the drapiness, if you can see that, of rayon, but it has the texture and the weave of a linen. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be really pretty. And I keep having a dress in my mind. I mean, I bought enough to make a dress here, and I have always always, like ever since I first started sewing, I fell in love with the original Colette patterns, and I have always wanted to make the salon. And so I'm kind of wondering if this would be a good candidate for it. I mean, it's got some heft, but it's got some drape. And it says that this is good for lightweight fabrics such as silk or rayon crepe, silk twill, silk habitai, jacquard, or medium weight fabric like cotton poplin, cotton twill, gabardine, and light wool. And so I definitely think this qualifies. But I just love the lines. I know that there's, I've been in the sewing world online long enough to know that some people like Colette patterns and some people hated how they were drafted. And to be honest, I have to do a lot of tweaks on the things I make anyway. And so since I like this design so much, I'm willing to put in the work. I feel like it might end up being a decent amount of work, but we're going to find out. But so I'm thinking maybe this one for that. After just finishing Me Made May, I also know that I really need some more skirts. And I am trying to pay attention to the ones that I wore a lot. And one of the ones that was like the surprising hero of the month was my Peggy skirt. And I'm putting the picture up in front of me because they no longer exist. I don't know that I can actually even find an example photo of this online anymore. This was by Blue Ginger Doll Patterns. And it's this line drawing actually doesn't even do it justice. It's a much more straight skirt. I've made the basic straight across waistband. It has a bit of a pleat in the front, and it has these awesome pockets that kind of pull away from your body. And the one that I made that I wore all throughout Me Made May this year was my original mock-up, which I made out of this thrifted linen look. I don't know. I think it has some linen in it, but it's definitely not 100% linen because the thing never wrinkles. It's fantastic. I got it at a thrift store, the fabric, but I have other linens that I think would be really cute in that shape. It's kind of a vintagey shape, but I have this really pretty 100% linen that I picked up at Joann's quite a few months ago in a sale, and it's got birdies all over it. And I think it's, it's enough of a neutral kind of color that I think it would go with a lot of things that I own. So including maybe those merino shirts. But yeah, I think that this would be very cute as a Peggy skirt. And I also have this linen. This is another 100% linen. It's a medium weight. This one's from fabricstore.com. And I have 2 yards. I have enough. I think I have 2 yards of both of these. But this is a nice neutral bottom color, I think. Kind of denim-y looking, but it would be a little drapier. So this might be earmarked for a Peggy too. I can't decide which one I want to make first, and I'll see how it goes in 100% linen. And then if I like it, I might make the other one. So this is an Essex linen by Robert Kaufman. I picked this up from the sewing studio, I think last summer, actually. And I had this in mind for the Peggy skirt as well. It would definitely make a more structured one. It's a linen cotton blend. People use it for quilting a lot, but it actually has black and white threads, so it comes out kind of a gray. I think it would just be a really nice neutral bottom. So I'm trying to decide if I do the Peggy or if I do one of my other favorite skirts, which the other one that is my total favorite is the Melissa skirt. And speaking of the Melissa pattern, I have a nice stack of denims and twill, I believe, in here. The Melissa skirt is probably my favorite skirt pattern ever. Years ago, I made like 5 or 6 of them, and they just ended up being the absolute workhorse of my wardrobe. I wore them with everything because I made them in nice neutral bottom colors. So after going through Me Made May and seeing how often I'm wearing my jean skirts, that I have thrifted all of them and how shabby they're looking, it's definitely on my list to make some more neutral bottoms of the Melissa because it's just so comfy and cute. So I have this gray denim. This is from a thrift store. It has a little bit of stretch, which sometimes for that pattern I don't love, but I don't know. We're gonna see. I'm gonna see if that's too much or what. But if this one doesn't work, I know I have some slightly more rigid denim in my stash that I can pull out too. This is another, like a medium color. I do wish it was just a little bit darker. I tend to really like darker navy. And this one has a little bit of stretch too, if you can see that. But this one feels like less stretch than that darker one. So this could also be a good Melissa candidate. This is some kind of a heavy cotton twill. And it's not like super heavy, but it's a nice kind of olive drab color, which tends to match a lot of things, you know? So I think that this would make a great Melissa skirt of some kind, even if I don't make the Melissa, but I feel like I probably would. And the fun one, this is another fabric that I have had. I can't even venture a guess. I could have had this 10 years. I don't know. I bought this with the Melissa skirt in mind. I do know that I had made my first Melissa skirt, so probably 9 or 10 years ago. And it's a denim or a canvas. I can't really decide, you know, one man's canvas is another man's denim, I guess, but it has this very cool kind of Scandinavian looking to me, squiggly print on it. They remind me of skeins of yarn, kind of like waves. But I think that this would make a very cool Melissa skirt too. And I've always thought about it and I've never made it. So maybe this will be the summer that I actually use this fabric. And then since I'm on skirts, my Holly Burn. The Holly Burn was the other hero of the month of May. I just love the skirt. And the only two that I have right now that I've made that technically fit me are fun prints, which is great. I love a fun print skirt, but they're not as versatile. And one of the ones that I sized out of, like it's too big for me now, was made out of this like faux linen polyester stuff that was a bright tomato red. And I used to wear it a decent amount. And I got this Brussels washer linen, which is a linen rayon blend, and it is tomato color, and I love it. And one of the skirts that I made quite a few years ago when I was larger, but it still fits me. I mean, it doesn't fit perfect, but it fits enough that when I wear a shirt that covered my waistband, you couldn't tell. And it was made out of this same fabric in purple. So I really wanted to make a red version. Just, it's such a useful basic and goes with so many things. And I think red would be fun to have again. It's been several years since I was able to wear the other red skirt that I made. So this will be a Holly Burn. And I also have so many other fabrics constantly rotating through my mind. Spoiler alert, this is the dress that I have just done a ton of work on, and I have made several of them now. I really like to take a pattern that could be a useful basic and do all the work. Like, I do not have a standard body shape. I have a lot of adjustments that I typically have to make. And so I know that when I start a new pattern, particularly from a company that I have not made anything in, I know that I'm going to have to make a muslin and I'm going to have to then do some tweaks as I go. So I made a muslin of the night and day dress, and I just used the scoop neck bodice, but it is a 6 darted bodice. It has 4, it has bust darts, waist darts, and then back waist darts. But the glory of this pattern is it says you can make like 72 different dresses because of all the different shapes of sleeves and things like that. And I love this collared version. I think that is really, really cute. I would really like to make it. I love the cuffs, and I haven't quite picked out a fabric yet. I know I have something. I have so many somethings, but after having just made this dress several times in a couple different fabrics for the project that I am working on, I did all that work. And so why not use the bodice and make the version that I didn't get to make yet, right? So I've got that on my brain, and we're going to see if it actually happens this summer or if I'm totally sick of sewing it by now. So that is basically I was going to say short list, but is it short? No. It's pretty long list of things that are milling around in my brain. There's plenty of others too, but those are just the ones that have kind of stood out to me immediately. I am about to go on one of my semi-annual fabric trips. We're going to see what things strike me that knock some of these down the list of how quickly I need to make them, because I will have new fabrics that I want to make things in. And I have so many patterns that I would really like to make. Just after I've done a big project where I had to do a lot of work for fitting, I really like to just slap out some things that I don't have to think about, if that makes sense. I don't mind the labor intensive projects. Like last summer I made a corset. But I just really need to switch it up and make a complicated thing followed by an easy thing or two, just to keep my interest so that it doesn't feel like so much work. But that is what I have in the plans for this summer. I would love to hear if you have things that you're planning. I love to get inspiration from other people's plans, honestly. I like watching these kinds of videos because somebody else might have had a good idea and it might be a pattern I have, and then it might spark me to be like, ooh, yeah, I could do something with that too. If you have any kind of plans for the summer, I would love to know what yours are too. And I hope that we can all enjoy the wonderful air conditioning like I do in Florida, and that we can sew things that we enjoy in this time. I know that for a lot of other people, summer is like their favorite time of the year. I'm not that person. So I'm hoping that I can enjoy the cool indoors and make some things that I love that will help keep me cool in this crazy heat that I usually live in. So that's it for today. If you would like to find out what things on this list I actually managed to make this summer, please do give me a like and subscribe to come back and see more. I am always making things, and so there's always something to see if you are interested. And until then, I hope that you have a wonderful summer of sewing.